So today we're going to be talking about something spicy. The history of Sriracha. So you can stop booing, actually, because I know that joke was bad, but also this is going to be a really fun one. I'm Reese, and this is Reese Gray Analyzes. I'm so excited that you guys decided to adventure with me today. On Reese Gray Analyzes, we look at creations experienced in pop culture, like art, media, music, and even video games, to explore exactly why we think the way we think, question what we believe, and learn something new. And we have another fun one today about Sriracha sauce. So I've been on that quest to figure out fun, like, refugee business stories, right? And Sriracha is another company that came from a refugee from Vietnam. So they're just killing it. And so this is the story of David Tran. So a little bit about David Tran's background. David Tran, the creator of Sriracha, never trademarked the word Sriracha. So it has been used like again and again in pop culture for super weird things. There was a collaboration. There was a straight up collaboration of Sriracha and Lexus. Like, they have a Sriracha car. Sriracha bottles and stuff are on stickers everywhere. And just Sriracha is a really trendy thing. It's like a Halloween costume. Everybody loves Sriracha. Everybody loves Sriracha. But no one knows how to say Sriracha. So you know how Sriracha isn't trademarked? The main thing about that is that David Tran didn't want to go about all the legality of it, because Sriracha is actually a town in Vietnam, which is correctly pronounced Sriracha, but the American pronunciation is Sriracha, and he says that either way is fine. Sriracha is just the way the city is pronounced. Or if you're my dad, for some reason, you say Sir Cha-Cha. So I'll be calling it Sriracha for this video, but I might sneak in a Sir Cha-Cha in there sometimes for the fun. And people love Sriracha so freaking much with all their heart that Hui Foods, David Tran's company, Hui Foods, has never paid for advertising. Isn't that insane? He's never paid for advertising. So David Tran just basically goes off of vibes, and this gets him in trouble pretty much because he does what he wants, right? And that's pretty good for a businessman, but sometimes it's kind of bad. Hence why he has gotten sued multiple times. And we're going to talk about the two juiciest times that Sriracha has gotten sued. So buckle in for this wild ride. He has to keep spending his money on legal fees. And you know who also spends a lot of money? Well, David Hammond, who produced his first documentary on Sriracha. So a good video to check out after this video would be David Hammond's like 30-minute YouTube documentary on Sriracha. I'll link it in the description. And it's super cute. It's like about 10 years old, but it's really cute. And he made it from money from a Kickstarter. So he wanted to raise $5,000 to make his little film, because he's an indie filmmaker. And he ended up raising $21,000 for his film, which is so awesome. And he ended up going to Thailand and everything to like research this sauce. And actually, in all of the stores that he saw, they didn't have Hui Foods branded Sriracha. They just had a bunch of different types of Sriracha. And so you might think like, well, like, is this Sriracha any different? And it totally is, which we'll get into. So let's start off talking a little bit about David Tran and his background. So as we know, he's a Vietnamese refugee, and he founded Hui Foods for his Sriracha company in 1980. But before fleeing Vietnam, he actually made sauce. He made hot sauce, and his brother was a farmer, and he would farm the chilies and he would make the sauce and sell the sauce. And part of the issue that he explains in the documentary is that since Vietnam was being taken over by a communist regime, he wasn't allowed to own his business anymore. So he had to flee, and they got on a ship, boarded for Hong Kong, and they got stuck on the ship for literally a month because Hong Kong wouldn't let it dock. And another reason he wanted to flee Vietnam as well is because he's ethnically Chinese, and they were persecuting ethnically Chinese people, so he had to flee. So they're stuck in the ocean for 30 days. So they were finally allowed to disembark, and then he was granted asylum by the United States and takes a plane over to the United States. And he's able to start his Sriracha company in 1980, only 3 years after getting to the United States. And like most Vietnamese refugees, they send them over to Southern California. And so he started making his chilies in Los Angeles. And he said they were inspired by like Thai chili sauces. And like Thai chili is just so good. I love Thai chili. And so he ended up just selling it literally out of his van, like just selling it to independent shops in Chinatown. And through word of mouth only, he starts getting tons and tons of orders from local Asian shops around the area because everyone loves Sriracha. And so this is why David Tran says that he doesn't advertise, because he said he had trouble keeping up in the first place with the demand. So if he advertised, it would just completely outpace his ability to make the sauce, which is such a flex, such an amazing, incredible flex. And I believe him. This is not just a cheap business decision. This is legitimately true because there have been multiple Sriracha shortages as well. Even just last year in 2023, there was a global Sriracha shortage and Sriracha bottles were going for $100, which I get. I love Sriracha. I have it on everything. I like put it on eggs and rice and soup. So good. So it's like, why do people love this Sriracha sauce, But it's actually really interesting because he uses these red jalapenos that are grown in California. So it's actually California grown, really high quality jalapenos that he makes these sauces out of. And he was really set on like the quality of the peppers is what makes the sauce. First fun fact of the day, Sriracha sauce, their spiciness is not even measured by the Scoville heat scale because not only is it a hot sauce, but it's also a flavoring. Founder David Tran, he takes the flavoring so seriously. And this is kind of where he gets into his trouble here legally. So these farmers and stuff, they have to sign NDAs about how this sauce is made, when the peppers are picked and everything. And he's killing it. And he has his factory in Irwindale, California. And, this isn't the spiciest sauce in the world, but you could feel the spice in the air because of the quantity of sauce bottles that they're making. So the city of Irwindale actually sued Hui Foods because the quality of their air was being affected by the Sriracha factory. They said that they could feel this spiciness in the air and it was affecting people's eyes and respiratory systems. And they said that when they would walk outside, their eyes would like water and it was just absolutely horrible. And this city just wanted to move this Sriracha factory far away as they could. And this can kind of be backed up by the documentary as well, because David Hammond, who made the documentary, said that he could feel in his eyes and in his throat like this spiciness when he was inside the factory. He said in other rooms it wasn't as bad, but I can understand that during high production you can like feel that like in the air. And so this being the spicy story that it is, the media was all like, okay guys, stock up on your Sriracha. The Hui Foods company might have to shut down for a while because they're dealing with this lawsuit. And this caused a Sriracha shortage because of this lawsuit, because people were afraid that they weren't going to be able to get their Sriracha. So of course people like hoarded bottles, and then there was a bunch of memes about it being like the end of the world because we couldn't get our Sriracha. But then the dramatic twist is that later that year, so Judge Robert O'Brien, he was all like, you guys are fine, you guys are kind of fine. Like he ruled in favor partially of the city. He did declare that Hui Foods needed to cease any operations that could have been causing these noxious odors. And he said that they should mitigate this, but he didn't say that they needed to stop completely. So it was kind of funny because the judge said that the spiciness of the air and stuff could be reasonably inferred. Like, it's reasonably inferred that the air will be spicy around a hot sauce factory. And there was a lack of credible evidence of breathing problems because there was a lack of like medical records and stuff. And so they were just able to keep making their hot sauce. So the lawsuit ended up being dismissed in 2014 and the production just completely carried on as planned. But during the legal battles, David Tran was like, sure, I'll move the company, like, that's fine. Because the Irwindale City Council did vote that the Hui Foods Company was a public nuisance to their city. So then Texas was all like, well, we'll take you. You want to come to Texas? Because the people from Texas came and toured the factory and they gave them incentives to move to Denton, Texas. But like, he didn't even go. Like, he just kept his factory. I know that's probably a lot too, to like uproot everything and like go to Texas. So if I had a whole lawsuit drop too, I'd probably just stay where I am. I'm like, I'm good. So that one, David Tran's public nuisance of a Sriracha factory, you know, he made it away from that one. But this is lawsuit number 2. So you know how we were talking about how David Tran was all like, oh yeah, like the quality of my peppers. That's what makes my Sriracha sauce. Yes, it's very, very important to me. Well, yes, that was very important to him. But apparently like fair pay wasn't, because he got in trouble because he was trying to underpay these farmers who had to hand pick his peppers. They did have machines, but they couldn't get all the peppers. And the machines had to have like a row, a clear row to like drive the machine down. So people had to pick the peppers first. People had to pick the peppers. And then it was just getting too expensive for him. So he decided to move companies that he got his peppers from because, hey, that's fair. That's capitalism, baby. But not really, because he was shady about it. So there was a company called Underwood that used to provide Sriracha with its peppers. And they claimed that David Tran just like up and left without notice. And he was just like, no, I don't want your peppers anymore. But this farm held like millions of peppers for Sriracha specifically. And once you plant seeds and grow them, you can't like ungrow them. And what are you supposed to do with a bunch of peppers when they don't give you adequate notice? So this lawsuit is linked in the description as well. But so they had just tons of dollars worth of product that could not be sold to Sriracha anymore or anyone else, because who wants that many peppers? He countersued Underwood and then said that, so Sriracha was like, no, Underwood breached their contract because they concealed their motives, because actually, apparently they took their peppers and made their own sauce. And he said that this was intentional misrepresentation of their motives, and that Underwood was refusing to return $7 million of Hui's equipment. So Sriracha was all like, you stole my idea, my equipment, and my peppers. That's what you did. And then Underwood was like, no, you didn't want to buy our peppers anymore. So we had to make our own sauce, and we're keeping your equipment. So I have to bang my gavel and make the verdict. So the verdict was that Underwood, the company who sold them the peppers, got awarded $23 million. And this includes $13 million in damages and then $10 million in punitive damages. So that's $23 million total that Sriracha had to pay out. Then the jury was all like, oh, well, Hui Fong Foods, the Sriracha company, did actually overpay Underwood for their peppers. So then Underwood had to give Sriracha back their $1.3 million. But honestly, that's a huge net positive for the Underwood pepper people. So that's crazy. So instead of Sriracha getting their peppers from like one farm, they're like outsourced to farms in California and Mexico and New Mexico as well. So now they get their peppers from everywhere. And some people claim that there's been a change in quality to the sauce, but I still love it. But people say that they notice it's changed, but maybe my taste buds are just not as advanced. And it might be really controversial of me to say this. It may be much too controversial of me to say this, but the green cap Sriracha, the OG Hui Foods from David Tran, his Sriracha is the best Sriracha. Other Srirachas are trash. I will just defend the OG Sriracha with all my heart. So let me know if you think the Sriracha sauce is different now. But this region in general of like California, Mexico, New Mexico has suffered so many droughts that it's been a really, really rough couple of years too for Sriracha. So man, but they're never going away. I mean, they don't have to advertise, right? Like people love them so much that they'll just keep buying it. But it's still kind of shady that Underwood ended up making their own like Sriracha sauce. It is like when life gives you lemons, you know, make lemonade. Like when life leaves you with millions of peppers, make Sriracha, I guess. Like what else were they supposed to do? But it does seem a little bit shady, huh? But I think the funnest part is knowing that black market Sriracha, when Sriracha like goes out of stock, is just like a huge thing and people will pay hundreds of dollars for it. That's fun to me. It's just crazy how Sriracha is like this like cultural icon. Like this, it's such a cultural icon that the first documentary someone makes is on Sriracha. You can get like shirts and stuff like with Sriracha bottles on them. So many Sriracha stickers. My friend has a Sriracha bottle laptop sticker, phone cases. And then there's also Sriracha flavored Lay's chips too, which are kind of mid, but I'd rather have soup anyway, so. And even like Subway, like you can get Sriracha on your sandwich at Subway. And then Taco Bell and Pizza Hut as well, they've had like Sriracha themed items. Because remember, Sriracha, the name isn't trademarked, so we can be weird about it, like having a 2016 Lexus Sriracha style. So lots of drama and spice with Sriracha. And this was another fun one, so I hope you guys like enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys have other like fun refugee business stories. I just like to like highlight the cool stuff that people have done during adversity. And I love Sriracha. It's just that every company has their drama and I love to share it with you guys. So thanks for adventuring with me today. And as always, love you guys. Bye.